لوجهك وعظيم سلطانه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم بارك على حبيبي محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers. Jazakum Allah khairan for coming, brothers, making this journey. Inshallah, today we've got a very important discussion. We're going to talk about something that is very present amongst us. The issue about drugs, the issue about getting drunk. This is the life of the kuffar. The clip that you saw about train spotting, think about they were Muslims. There are Muslims like that do this. They do not want to see the reality of life, so they find something that gives them something to keep away from this life. And this is about drugs and booze. So my brother Nawaz today is going to address this issue, and we're going to open this for any questions or comments after that, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna alhamdulillah. Inna alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfir. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I begin in the name of Allah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creators of us, the creators of the heaven and the earth and everything that exists between. Indeed, we are thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to come here today, providing us the food that we eat and the sunlight that we see. And all praise is due to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the masters of messengers, who brought this risala, this message, to guide mankind out this darkness that we saw in this video, to bring him to the light of Islam. Assalamu alaikum. You know, once there was a time when Britain was the envy of the world. People would look to Britain and they would look upon her as an envious nation because of her character and her morality. You know, we would often see, some of these old films that we'd see back home in India and Pakistan, the white man and the way they would drive their nice cars and the way they would play cricket, the way they would have their English tea with scones for tea time. Britain was an envy of the world because of her morality and her good character. Could you actually say the same thing about Britain today and British society today? No, playing the same image and apply that to what we see in the streets of King's Cross or Walthamstow or Putney, wherever we may come from. What is Britain, what is life like for Muslims and for people living in Britain today? What are the youth like in Britain today? I've just got a few examples that I want to share with you in terms of what British society is really like. What have we got? We've got gangs. Wherever you go, we've got these gangs of people fighting over territory, over postcodes, over patches of grass, over a couple of trees and hedges. Identifying themselves by bits of clothes hanging out from one particular place or another. You got this knife culture that's going around that we seem to be seeing every day on the news, in the newspapers. Just one statistic I brought out, I found 277 deaths last year, in 1 year, because of knives. That practically works out about 5 a week. Subhanallah. 5 people are getting killed every week because of this knife problem that we have in Britain today. In my local borough now, they've actually rolled out, airport style security. These metal detectors that you've got to go through as you walk into school. You empty out your pockets, take out your keys, take out your wallets and your mobile phones, walk through the metal detector, it goes off, you get back, end up searching you, and then you're allowed into school. It's like a prison, or going through an airport. Drugs, smack, crack and squidgy black. These are the new terms of, the terms that we have today. I didn't even know what squidgy black was until I sat down with someone who explained to me what the different forms of they come in and their street names. But this film we saw, Train Spotting, and for anyone who remembers when this film come out and what society was like and what the whole film's about, this is what it is about. Get high. Take the different forms of drugs, inject yourself in God knows what places of your body to get high. And I was speaking to a Muslim doctor who was telling me about, where these heroin addicts, where they need to inject themselves in order to to get the heroin into their body. And subhanallah, I was shocked. Talking about inserting a needle between your toes. Yeah, inserting needles into your genitalia to get the heroin into your bloodstream as quick as you can. I can't even begin to imagine why. Why would you want to inject yourself with this? But this is the lengths they go to, having to inject themselves with heroin. In parts of their body which you can't, you just close your eyes and you just don't even want to think about. And then you got, this alcohol culture now. This drinking culture that everyone seems to be on. The underage drinkers, wherever you go, you see these chavs sitting in parks. Where I live, you get, go down on a Saturday morning, you see these chavs in their Burberrys sitting on a park bench, drinking cheap cider from Sainsbury's or Audi or wherever they get it from, yeah? Knocking back a couple of bottles before 10 o'clock in the morning, yeah? This is British life today. How would you describe British youth? Involved in gangs, carrying around knives, underage drinking, teenage pregnancies, sexually transmitted diseases. Today, British youth, they don't compare qualifications. They compare, these are the amount of ASBOs I've got and these are the amount of STDs I've had. That's the new qualification today. I've got this list of, here's my certificate of all the various forms of STDs I've managed to catch throughout my life. You got people like Alfie Patton, a dad at the age of 13. Yeah, you just have to look at his face and if you go home and do a search on the internet, look for Alfie Patton, a dad at the age of 13. He still looks like he's 7. Yeah? You see all these adverts on TV about chlamydia and all these other sexually transmitted diseases. How widespread it is. They talk about, 70% of the people in London apparently have it, but they don't even realise yet. This is how rampant some of these things. Education. What education has these youth got? They can tell you how to cut up 0.5 kilogram of squidgy black, or how to divide an ounce of weed or hash brown into, a number of different little smaller packets that you can sell on the streets, and then they know how to haggle. But you ask them about fractions and percentages in schools, they won't have a clue. And all in all, I recently seen a new leaflet written by a brother, and all in all, what you can describe life for youth in Britain is a bum life. Yeah, the leaflet's actually fantastic. This describes these people are bums. What do? They wake up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they have some breakfast and they're high by 4. And that's the rest of their evening. It's lying in their bedroom, eyes all red, do what they do when they're high. And this is what life is like in 2008, 2009 in Britain for youth. And this clip we just saw just illustrates it perfectly, the lengths that people go to in these crack dens and these crack warehouses, where they sit there injecting themselves, making themselves high on these drugs. And then the worst thing is, before when I was younger, this is something that you'd also associate with white kids. When someone talk about drugs and alcohol problems and sexually transmitted diseases, those white people on the other side of the playground. It's always the white people, we're alright, we're brown, we're Muslim, we never had any of these problems. But this is where we need to wake up and we need to open our eyes. Walk around any of the large Muslim populations in London or in Manchester, in Birmingham. These are the same characteristics we can now describe for Muslim communities. So when we talk about Muslim gangs, just walk around the streets of Whitechapel, King's Cross, Walthamstow, Leighton. How many Muslim gangs have we got? Apparently on my way to a local kebab shop I passed through 4 different areas where Muslim gangs operate, and this is each of their turfs. Almost like you need a visa from them to go from one bit of turf to another. On one road this belongs to one gang, you need permission before you cross over to the other road for another gang. But now you got things like Paki Panthers, and the Bengal Tigers, Brick Lane Massive. What's even worse, these gangs are Muslim, yeah, and they still identify themselves with Muslim names. So you got one gang in Bow called the Bow Muslim Soldiers. Yeah, how would you translate that in Arabic? The Bow Mujahids. Yeah, but this shows you this culture, these ideas, how much they've infiltrated and affected Muslim communities. Where now we have Muslim gangs, bonded by not Islam, but bonded by their territory. I'm from Bow, I'm from Stepney Green, I'm from E10. You're from the Beaumont estate. You're from Pretoria House estate or wherever they're from. So you got these gangs. You got knives. Muslims have taken this whole knife culture to a different level. Now these white boys will probably carry around little razor blade, little flick knives, and he comes out, flicks it out like that. Muslims around Whitechapel walk around with machetes and samurai swords. You know, you mess with them, you know, pull out their samurai sword. You know, there's